Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, professor and college. My name is Ade Wahyudi from Universitas Indonesia. Today, I'm honored to present our study entitled Spectrum Strategies for 5G Development in Remote and Underserved Region of Indonesia. Let me share my presentation. Okay, this is my presentation. Uh, the title is Spectrum Strategies for 5G Development in Remote and Underserved Region of Indonesia, a systematic review of global and local practice. This work is part of my doctoral research supported by the Indonesian Endowment Fund for Education or LPDP. I would also like to acknowledge the guidance of Professor Dr. Muhammad Surya Negara as my doctoral supervisor and my research collaborator Dr. Alvin Himatur Rahman. This is the table of content of this presentation. Start with background and then research objective and question, research methodology, bibliometric findings, discussion, and conclusion. Let's start to the background and the motivation. Okay, as we all know, 5G is more than just faster internet. It provides high-speed data transfer, ultra-low latency, and massive connectivity that can transform industries such as manufacturing, logistics, healthcare, and education. However, the global digital divide remains a major challenge. According to ITU, while 84% of people in high-income countries are covered by 5G, while in the low-income country, it's figure like only 4% of the coverage. In Indonesia, this situation is similar. Major cities have a rapid 5G development, while in the remote and reserve area is still lagging far behind, often due to high development costs, challenging geography, and limited business viability. So, the research objective and question for this paper is about the first, what global spectrum strategies and allocation model are most adaptable for supporting 5G in remote and underserved area of Indonesia. The second, we talk about what regulatory and technical challenge hinder inclusive 5G spectrum policy in Indonesia and how they do compare with global best practice. So our goal is not only just to identify the gaps, but also to offer practical policy recommendation for bridging the digital divide. Okay, and then to answer this question, we employ a systematic literature review using the Prisma framework. We collected publication from reputable database such as Scopus, IEEE Explore, and Google Scholar from years 2015 to 2024, applying strict screening criteria to ensure quality and relevance. Our analysis included the descriptive statistic, descriptive statistic, bibliometric mapping with fast viewer, and also the qualitative thematic coding to capture both global trends and national policy context. And then our initial research identified that 1,466 records. After removing duplicates and applying screening criteria, we assessed 184 full text articles, and finally 84 studies were included in our review. The publication trends show peak stress in sorry, the publication trends shows peak interest in 2021, likely coinciding with global momentum for 5G rollouts, followed by a slight decline, a research attention shift toward 6G and post 5G technologies. And then in the bibliometric finding, There are three main uh, thematic clusters. The first cluster is about the technological development and research challenge. It's focusing on technical feasibility and innovations. And the second, the thematic cluster is about the infrastructure and digital inclusions, inclusion. It's about the addressing rural ICT infrastructure, digital divide, and user access. And the third, we talk about the spectrum policy and regulation, dealing with licensing, frequency allocation, and governance models. Over time, research has shifted from purely technical issues toward to inclusive development strategies, showing increased attention to equity and accessibility. And then we talk about the results of the paper. The first, we talk about the spectrum band comparison. Uh, as we know that low band frequencies such as 700, 700, 900, and 800 megahertz, it's while widely recognized as ideal for remote area and underserved region due to the extensive coverage and strong signal penetration through the physical obstruction like vegetation or buildings. And then the second second spectrum is about the mid-band spectrum, about 3.3 to 3.8 gigahertz. This band offer like a balance between the cover and capacities. And the last is we can consider about high band or microwave spectrum, such as 26 or 26 or 28 gigahertz. It provides a high capacity but limit range and significant infrastructure requirement. And then how about the spectrum strategies comparison? There's many various spectrum strategies that can adopt for supporting 5G in Indonesia, especially in remote area. Uh, the strategy that widely used is dynamic spectrum access up to DSA, which allow unused spectrum held by primary license to be dynamically accessed by secondary users. In addition, there is a license share access or LSA and TV white space. That strategy have proven effective in countries like Brazil and parts of Africa. This approach enables share use of lower frequency band, extending coverage to infrastructures poor area without requiring significant investment. And also there is a strategy about the millimeter wave utilization that can implement in high development cost but have the energy demand. Next, the policy comparison. There is several policy comparison as if we can compare with 5G development, including 700, 2.3 gigahertz, 3.5 gigahertz, and 26 gigahertz. The 700 megahertz band hold a significant potential for rural and remote and underserved area. Yet its use remain limited and is not specifically targeted toward underserved area or local operator. The the 2.3 gigahertz is already in use by major operator for commercial 5G, while 3.5 gigahertz and 26 gigahertz band are still undergoing limited trials, mainly in urban centers. In contrast, countries like Brazil, Finland, Canada has utilized alternative bands such as TV white space and VHF to support rural, remote, and underserved connectivity with lower infrastructure costs. Okay, let's start with the analysis. Analysis for a research question number one about the what global strategy are effective for remote and underserved region. The first is about the low band spectrum. It, it has wide coverage, cost effective for rural areas. And the second, it's about the mid band. Mid band 3.3 to 3.8 gigahertz. It have the balance a coverage and capacity then used globally with massive mining. The third is we can use the DSA, dynamic spectrum access, has been utilized in region with lower traffic intensity. This allows spectrum that is idle in certain location to be reused dynamically, uh, and juga and also increasing the efficiency. The fourth, the fourth, many countries have explored about the license share access atau LSA dan TV and NTV white space, which can support community-based and cost-effective deployment, especially for school, healthcare, facility, and small enterprise. Then finally, about the hybrid approach, such as combining spectrum refarming, spectrum sharing, and targeted subsidies, are critical to ensure not only to initial development but also the long-term sustainability. In summary, the global strategy showed that there is no single solution. Instead, a mix of technical and regulatory approach has proven most effective in serving remote communities. And then for the analysis, research research question number two about how Indonesia's practice compare with global best practice. Currently, Indonesia relies on four frequency for 4G, yeah, for 700 megahertz, 2.3 gigahertz, 3.5 gigahertz, and 26 gigahertz. And then the policy dominated by exclusive national licensing and uniform pricing. By contrast, global best practice offer more flexible solution. Example for the UK and Germany apply local licensing scheme to empower regional operators. India and Nigeria implement uh, region-based spectrum pricing to reduce barrier for rural development. Countries such as Brazil and Finland experiment with TV white space to enable community networks. From this comparison, it's it's become clear that Indonesia will benefit from adopting more flexible rural-oriented spectrum management framework, which could which could include local licensing, differentiated uh, differentiated pricing, and the public-private collaboration. This will help ensure that 5G is not limited to urban areas, but truly contributes the digital inclusion nationwide. Therefore, aligning Indonesia's spectrum strategy with this global best practice could be a key step toward bridging the digital divide in remote and underserved region. Okay. For the conclusion, in conclusion, Indonesian 5G spectrum policy remains too urban focus. Yeah, too urban focus and too rigid. By learning from global best practice such as UK, Brazil, Finland, India, we can design a more flexible and inclusive approach. Hybrid spectrum strategy supported by policy reform and infrastructure program like Bhakti can bridge the connectivity gap and bring equity 5G access to all Indonesian, including for the most remote area. Okay, for the acknowledgement, I would like to say thank you to LPDP, and also I will say thank you to Mr. Professor Dr. Muhammad Surya Negara and Dr. Alvin Hematul Rahman. This is the reference of my studies. There is 42 reference, and thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. I'm looking for your question, feedback, and discussion on how we can collectively advance inclusive 5G deployment in Indonesia and here. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.